Welcome to the Healing Grove podcast. I'm Dr. Kristin, an integrative holistic family physician, author of Life After Lyme, and host in this virtual space of learning, healing, and growing. I believe humans are like trees, and our physical limb is only one of many. Health on all limbs of the tree, emotional, conceptual, social, spiritual, is absolutely required for the whole tree that is you to be vibrantly well. I created the Healing Grove podcast as a place to showcase some of the world's best integrative and holistic medicine, to expose you to transformative tools and mindset shifts for all limbs of your tree. I hope you enjoy our conversation in the Healing Grove today as much as I enjoyed having it. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to introduce you guys to my friend Karen De Wilde. Karen is a musician, a change maker, and a transformational guide who works with both the head and the heart. Several years ago, while stuck in a job that was sapping her own energy, Karen was led on a search for her own destiny and her life path. And ultimately, she discovered the wisdom of the Mayan Calendar. She now teaches this wisdom to her clients and is continually amazed by its timeless ability to bring us back into touch with our own wisdom and the opportunities for healing and living to our fullest potential. So she's going to tell us something about that today, I'm sure. But before we do that, Karen, I wonder if you wouldn't start by just giving us a sense of why you're drawn to speaking to people who have complex issues or are struggling to stay well or get well from chronic, baffling symptoms.
Yes, thank you first of all for giving me this platform here, for being here. So I think first of all, I recognize it very well because I have been ill for some years too. I have been in a chronic illness, and luckily I have been able to overcome this and to build further, really further on my life. But what I learned absolutely is about sometimes we are getting stuck in one vision and in one idea how things are, how they are, and you can change things. And that's what I learned go through the time. First of all, when I was sick, that it's not only your body who is sick, but it's also something in your head. You have false ideas. You're striving to something that's just not possible for yourself. You're living a life that's not really aligned with who you are. And then you get sick. And then it's kind of a major warning that you get, and you have to do something about that. So I have been there. I know how it feels, how long the tunnel is, and you don't know where it will end and when you will be better. But still, you need to get up every day and look for some hope and some positivity to make things better, and to believe that you can get out of it, or at least go to a point that it's okay for you, that you just see, okay, I understand, I am where I am, I can accept some aspects how they are, but I also know better how I can deal with it. And then, so what you said some years ago, I stumbled on these Mayan readings. It was not but because I was still sick at that moment. It had more to do with that I felt I was not in the right job anymore. That I had learned I need to take care for my body, and my job was draining. It was not good for my energy, so I had to look for something else. So it's the Mayan readings, they just bring a totally other angle. You don't go anymore in your ratio, in your mental state for what will I do, what do I love, because we are so trained in our society to think with our heads and not to feel with our heart, that sometimes we have cut it off. And this, the way how the Mayans bring wisdom is a total other way of looking to reality. And that just can help to bring openness again and to see new aspects of yourself.
What were some of the sort of perspective shifts that you got the first time you did a reading or had a reading done for yourself?
From the first time that I get in contact with this reading, I started directly on a course. I'm always on a course. So I followed one day and I just said, oh, I will go and look and see what it brings to me. And I just was blown away. I'm a blue storm. It's about transformation. And that night after the training, I just dreamed about being in a blue storm and being carried away, whoa, in this storm. And that was exactly where I am a lot of time. Instead that you stay in the middle, where the point is, where the inner silence is, so I'm just whoa, a bit like that. So it was immediately, I never dream I never know that I dream. So when there is something so clear, I know there is a sign, at least.
And were there any kind of next steps that are provided? I mean, once you know you're in a blue storm, for example, which I'm sure a lot of people hearing this can relate to, feeling like they're kind of in the midst of a chaos narrative. What are the things that the Mayan calendar or the Mayan reading can do to help guide how to get out of that storm?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it starts from, you have different aspects where you can look at, but I always what I think is the most powerful, first of all, that you tend to understand yourself better. And the Mayan calendar, it's based on the day you are born, so it's based on calculations made with the sun. It gives a kind of imprint and information who you are and what is the intention you have to do here in this life. And it carries information about your life path, about your how you also deal with other people, what is difficult for you, all this kind of information, it carries it within it. But so it are different aspects. It can be sometimes quite complex, but then you get in all these kind of different aspects of your life or aspects of your personality, let's say it like that, or how you behave. You get clarity. You see, okay, here, okay, this is a quality of myself, but I see, here I live more, or I tend to do to be in a kind of shadow place all the time. And so the more clarity you have on which aspects where you are, it just gives you so much tool and information how to change it to the better. And when you change it to the better, you change your life.
Yeah, so that might be surprising for somebody who thinks that astrology is really about like a stamp given at birth. This is where you are. You're always that. You're stuck there. But it doesn't sound like that's what the Mayan calendar is.
No. And that's now I'm getting excited already. That's what's so beautiful about this Mayan and these Tzolkin readings. So the aspect what they are saying is, so you are born on a certain day and you carry that energy within you, and it has qualities and it has development sides. But apart from that, you carry also other information. That's who you are. But it's kind of archetypes, how it's defined in the calendar. So this means, and it's also the idea that they are bringing, you have the key. So this is the box of your life, let's call it like that. And the box, the lines are drawn. But it's up to you to color inside. So you can make thousands of choices. Every day, again, you can make choices, but it's about making the right choices, what is right for you, and not for someone else, not what you have been taught, not for things that has been in the past and that you just learned to act from that. And the better you understand all these small aspects, the more you just can shift.
Mm-hmm. Well, now I'm getting excited because most people who know me or work with me know that I don't often recommend tools that I've never tried myself. Mm-hmm. And I will full disclosure, the first time I heard about the Mayan astrology calendar was talking to my friend Karen De Wilde. So when I heard her talk about it, I was like, okay, that's a tool I've never used. I've used like these other 3 types of astrology, but I've never even heard of this. So I was really eager to hear you talk about it. And when you started telling me before we talked about how the Mayans sort of see time as a circular loop that kind of creates these revisitings every, 200
yeah.
days where you
60 days, yes.
pass through the energy of that day again, as a new person, right, with new opportunities for growth. It just sounded really, really quite beautiful. And I actually asked Karen if she would do my calendar as a demo for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
So just before we got on the call, I gave her my birth date. We haven't looked at it. I have no idea what it's going to show. So I'm totally putting it out there. We'll see what happens here. I need to make you, you ready to talk about that now?
I would love to. And I can already make a story of it immediately, because today you also, each day has it has its proper energy. And today we are the blue monkey. And the blue monkey is about the inner child, is about playfulness, but also about just on a certain tone, and it just giving and receiving what is there and just be okay with it. So it's a bit playful. So we didn't made up front. So I didn't make any preparation, but it's okay. And that's typical for these blue monkeys.
Blue monkeys together, yeah.
Yeah. So the blue monkey is also when you're familiar with the dolphins. It's very light, it's authentic, it's playful. That's the blue monkey. I will show you my screen. Yeah. So I didn't prepare it well with your name and all the things on it.
I can only see the very middle part.
Oh. You don't have a full screen with... Oh,
there we go. There we go. No, I just changed my views. Yep.
Okay. You see the full?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, so this is you, Kristin. So what I said, when you're born on a specific day, and that day carries the energy, and that's you can compare it with the closest to your personality. In your case, you are the yellow sun on the tone number 1. And how I know you, it's just so beautiful to see, because that's who you are. I will explain. But I just will shortly explain how it works in general, and then I will give you the idea. So I just let you wait. So that's the day you are born. And then you see in total, there are 13 specific steps that you go through in that, and it's something that belongs to you. So you can see it as a kind of roadmap for your life. And you are born on a certain day, and that explains who you are, what your qualities are. It's very close to your personality. That's in its essence. But then you also have the roadmap of your life, and in certain tones they give you specific information. Where does everything start? What's your life theme? What's giving you grounding in your life? Because when you will go forward in your life, it's very important that you build your life on being grounded. That's very important. So then you go to see to the information, what is there on that specific number. And you also have a number where it's typically that we see here you have to make choices. You have to do it on your own. And this is the way where you just can see the road in front of you, where you have to go to. But you also, of course, you can only make right choices when you are acting from more your quality and your positive side. And we call this a sun seal. Each sun seal has characteristics to the positive, but you also every time can go on top of it or go under performing of that. So it's more a shadow side or a development side. And the end is your end goal of this life. This is what you tend to do when you do the work all your life, where you will hit to. And it's not that life is so chronicle. So it's very easily, okay, I go from my step 1 and I go to my 2 and my 3. Life doesn't work like that. For example, when you get sick, you will look to certain aspects also in the theme of the year where we're in, and what can be helpful information to see, okay, this is something perhaps where you have lived too much in your shadow side, for example, or in your development side. But it's in general, this is who you are in your basic, and every time it's your core, it doesn't go away with you. And so it's absolutely the better you know how it works, how it balances, the more you understand why things are in your life and where you get stuck. Going to you, so you are born on the tone number 1. So it's the first tone of this period of 13 days, because each step also is an energetical day in the calendar. And the yellow sun, it's about universal love. It's about seeing life with the pink glasses in a certain way. But this universal love, it's a big word, but it just means that you accept life how it is, and that you just can see and give space and place to yourself and to other people, and accept we are all one and we are human. And I give chances over and over again to people. And I just, in that way, you love people and you help them and you keep on helping them. So that's why I think it's so beautiful for you, Kristin. That is this you. This is how I know you. You just are so, you just spread that love for human beings in general. It's not for me as a person, but for everyone. And you just makes them shine too in a certain way. But the aspect of the yellow sun also carries within accepting life how it is. That's also a very important aspect. And for me, for example, I always want to go and make things better. And sometimes I'm a bit, I want to do it too good, and I'm perfectionist. There's also yellow sun. And when you just can accept that, not accept being a perfectionist, but accept that sometimes things are how they are. For example, you are sick for a long time. It starts sometimes just accept that you are sick. Admit it. I'm ill. I have to do something about this. This also can be an aspect of yellow sun. And when you just exaggerate, you just tend to fall into victimhood. Or you just act from this universal love because it's a more kind of cry, please, love me, kind of thing like that. So it has several aspects. I don't go further into deep depth because we don't have time for that. But I think nice.
I would like to say something about that, that shadow of not accepting, because I think that was a key moment for me in my own Lyme journey, was that where I was like, wow, this is what it is. And I don't have to understand it. I may not understand it, but I just need to accept that this is where I am right now. It was really key for me. So it's interesting that can be a stumbling block, because I think it was keeping me stuck. That desire to change it, that kind of striving to be better, that, striving not to be a sick person.
Yeah.
So I kind of owned that this is where I am. I happen to be sick right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's interesting. So
and this is your sorry, go ahead.
Are they 13 years? Are they 13 minutes? Like how fast do people move through these things?
You have a whole life for this. So the aspect of time is what you just announced very shortly. Mayans and time, for them, time doesn't exist in a certain way, or not how we tend to see to time. So you have 13, the days is the smallest. It's not minutes that they don't work with it, but you have 13 in a lot of different aspects. You have 13 years, you have 13 days, you have multiplications on that. On what we are doing now is just looking to your wave, your birth imprint, but you have 13 in a lot of ways.
So I might go through this again and again and again.
Yes. So you have in total, the calendar, we didn't touch that. In total, for the Mayans, they managed to see there are 260 different energies. And an energy, we call it, is a combination of this archetype, as you can call it, and the tone. And you can see it as a wheel. You have 13 tones, you have 20 sun seals, or these archetypes, and they do it like that all the time. And when you have each combination, when you have had each combination, you are 260 days later. And then you just start over and over again. So this means too, each year again, there is a period of 13 days that you come back into your birth wave, year over and year over. But also there are a lot of other days that you met sometimes energies that you know, but on another tone, or sometimes you just meet energies that are not written in your chart. And these are friction, these days can be a bit more friction or something like that, because your soul in a certain way doesn't recognize what is happening. You said, oh, this energy, I don't know, certain way. So it's kind of interacting. Everything is energy and everything is interacting. And you interact with the day energy, but you also interact with people around you, because all people also carry their energy field or their birth wave, and they are somewhere, but they can draw themselves where they are and how they live their life. So, is this an answer on your question?
Yeah. So I'm getting really curious now about what these other things might mean. Can you look at this and see sort of where my obstacles have been, or where my main challenges might come in life?
Yeah. A typical obstacle when you ask specifically that question is where you see the little star here. This we call galactical gate days. I don't know if I translate it well. These are days that carry a life lesson within. So that's something that you have to look deeper into. Where am I? And sometimes life lessons, it's you can overcome a life lesson when you just go through that kind of trauma once. But there are also sometimes life lessons that tend to come back all your life. And then it's really a life lesson. It's coming back over and over. For you, it's the Blue Night. Blue Night is about vision. It's about also willing to be unique, also going into the Blue Night. You can compare it best when it's night and there is stillness around you because everyone is sleeping. Then the dreams are coming, and the dreams and in your dream everything is possible. So Blue Night carries talents and possibilities, and even the crazy ones are good because they tend to pull you somewhere, to bring you somewhere. So the difficult thing about this Mayan reading sometimes is you have to look for the translation yourself. So now it's up to you, Kristin, to see, okay, do I recognize this? Sometimes am I stuck in a kind of vision or did I learn from, for example, where I grew up, just do the normal stuff and don't do crazy, perhaps like that. This all can be kind of pattern to see where am I towards this energy, this archetype of Blue Night. And the guide, what can help you to come closer to that energy is really transformation. Onion, to peel the onion, it's like that. That's how you can come closer to that. And the other life lesson is this blue monkey, what I just tend to say in the beginning of our session today, Blue Monkey Day. Apparently there is also something that can be a lesson for you on that. So it has to do with the inner child. Perhaps there is a kind of trauma on the inner child, not being heard as a child or something like that. It can... I think that's the most obvious life lesson what you can have with Blue Monkey. Other aspects, it's more about authenticity, playfulness, being too serious, just going too serious all the time. That can also, but I don't know you like that. But perhaps, yeah, it's that is something you can't see it in the chart. Is it a life lesson that you already that is just done by one time, or that you just have to go over and over? You have to remark it through your life to be consciously looking to that. Oh, there is my blue monkey trauma again, a bit like that. So, oh, and you also had the white dog. You have three in this chart. There are several. It's different from wave to wave where you are born. The white dog, and it's on the tone of the vulnerability. The white dog is about loyalty, but loyalty to yourself. It's about self-love, 100% self-love. White dogs, they are not always very easy because they have their IDs and they are very loyal. They stick to their IDs too. So that's why they can sometimes be a bit stubborn towards their friends. But on the other way, once a friend, always a friend, because you are loyal to your friends. But they need to learn to stay loyal to themselves. And there we have another key for perhaps for persons who are who fell sick. How loyal have they been towards themselves, and how did they live a life of loyalty to themselves, or were they loyal to their partner, to their children, and not to themselves, and putting others on the first place. And it's not only the loyalty, but absolutely the self-love. Can you look into the mirror and say, "Hi, gorgeous one, I love you," something like that? That's also white dog, and that's a kind that it carries a life lesson. It's on the tone of the vulnerability. This means that it can feel when you just act from that loyalty, from the self-love, that it feels like vulnerability. But just by acting like that, it will become a liberation. So it's perhaps you know the book of Brené Brown, the power of vulnerability. It's 100. This is the explanation of the stone 11. That's typical about that. So, but you see, to be strong enough to stand in your vulnerability and to act from there, you need to be grounded. You need to have quite some already know who you are, and that you just dare to stand in your vulnerability. So that's why it's typically that it's an energy or the vulnerability here that's already on the tone 11 at the end of your development in your life. So, and then you have another very important aspect. Is it okay that I go further, or do you have another question?
Well, I definitely want to get to the white magician situation.
White magician.
And because I sometimes fantasize that all of my hair will become white, just like Gandalf when he fights Balrog and wins. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but I will start with that. It's okay. It's Blue Monkey Day, so so apart about that, another idea of the Mayans is because it's a calendar, so it's a kind of cadence you are in, and each day carries its own energy. So when you are able to know today it's this kind of energy and you just hook on, it's much more in flow, it's much more easy. And you just will, for me, a lot of time it's more easy to see backwards at the end of the day, okay, this energy, and then I understand it better. Yes, that's why things were so fluently to do, or that's why I can be tend more light because today it's Blue Monkey, for example.
And that's everybody's having a Blue Monkey Day right now. It's not just me because of my birthday.
That's for everyone, but for some people it's more close to their core, and for others it's more further. For you, it's on your tone 12, so your soul recognizes absolutely the energy of the Blue Monkey. But it's this tone 12, it's bringing everything together. So when people still have a lot of work because they tend to live a lot in their, let's call it shadow places or shadow aspects of their life, it's hard to touch that energy. And to go there in the quality side, then they are much too serious, or they are not authentic, or whatever, or they are still they struggle with the inner child. Things like that can happen.
Got it.
Your white magician, it's not part of your wave, but it's a talent. That's another aspect of that. It's besides that you carry also with you, and there they really call it talent. And the definition of talents, how we use it here in our Western world, is in a certain way the same. You are born with a kind of talent. It's a seed. You have the potential to be very, very good and in this essence better than an average person on that. But, and there's but, you have to work on the talent. You have to do the work. A sporter or something like, or someone, when he wants to be professional sporter, when he's very talented, when he doesn't exercise, he never will be a professional sporter or runner or whatever. So that's the talent. Mm-hmm. Translation made here to the Mayans. You have above here the TD, and then you have talent. The TD is for talent development. It was too long for my chart. That's why I make this smart. So how they call it, the talent development is a kind, you have to work through the talent development energy to come to the core of your talent. But the talent, you have the seed within you, and the more you just can act from the quality side of the blue eagle. And I also have remarked, it's also when you just get more into your qualities overall, into what has to do with your chart, you automatically dive into the white magician energy, and you just touch that talent, and you don't have, because you don't have to do specifically to work on that talent. It's like you have to, when you will be a runner, you just have to do cardio training to run faster in a certain way. So the cardio training is a blue eagle, and the result is that you just can run much more faster or longer or whatever. Yeah.
So what is it like to have a developed talent of white magician? Like what sorts of things? How do you wield that?
Yeah, in a certain way, you are already doing that a little. It's I love to work with metaphors, and you really might think about the shamans or the wise who living in the woods, in the tribes, and the medicine mans. You really can think about that kind of image in your head. So they are living there, and they are very wise. And it's not that it's wisdom coming purely from the books and from having learned, but it's kind of combination. They just have wisdom on rituals, on symbols, on how things were in the past, on alternative ways of energy, of healing, or whatever. They are seers. You can call different aspects, but you see, knowledge is power. And there you see what the white magician needs to learn is that they are there, and they are responsible for the wellness of the whole tribe. So everything what they do, what they act from, is from integrity, and just not from their ego, but the integrity and the aligning of their heart with their wisdom and their knowledge. And that's white magician, Kristin.
Well, that feels good, because that's what this whole thing is about, is keeping the tribe healthy and bringing everyone into their own wisdom for how to heal them. So that's cool. So I have another question. So if you looked at this chart, are there any pitfalls, any things that, especially as they relate to, reactivating a Lyme infection, for example? So I had Lyme, and it's always in me, I believe, and I'm always doing the things I need to do to stay healthy and well, and I feel pretty awesome most of the time. But is there anything on here that you would say, beware the yellow seed, or anything, like anything I should kind of watch out for?
Yeah, okay. There are directly two that I can link to. The first is the red serpent, and the other one is the blue hand. The red serpent, that's the closest towards illness in a certain way, because red serpent is about body wisdom. So there's this, the energy of red serpent, it's instinct, but it's also feeling what your body needs and having the openness to respond on that. Because you have that body wisdom. Your body is your, what is the word in English? Your body will let you know when you're thirsty, when you're tired, when the food is not well, what you're eating. But I too, I'm guilty too on that part. We are not used to feel to our body, and it's not only feeling, but also acting towards what our body is saying. And that's very important information on the red serpent, that you go and look, okay, first of all, where do I find on the characteristics of red serpent? Can I act according what my body is telling me? But on the other side, it's also linked to a certain way where it's absolutely present, or where it can be a kind of key. And in your case, it's about, red serpent is also about passion, and it's the tone 6 is a tone of managing. It's about yin and yang. It's about getting everything in balance for yourself, but also towards you and your environment. So you can link both aspects. It's important to link them and to see, I tend to do, there is something with this energy of red serpent between, for example, I'm always overdoing, so my yin and my yang are not in balance. Or typically between me and my environment, I'm very well towards other people's, to remark how they are doing, for example, but I don't look to myself. And I don't act when I need to act, because I'm too much linked towards what another is feeling or asking or doing. That is this typical tone number 6 and the red serpent. So when you're ill, that's very important to learn to feel more to your body, and because your body has this wisdom, and we all have that, of course, that kind of energy, but we didn't grow up with this wisdom of how our body is telling us something, and we have to listen to that. We don't grow up with that. We grow up with goals, and you have to go there, and you have to be better and better, and there is so many food and what you can buy, and with so many sugars on, and nobody is saying, there are people who are saying it's not good for you, but there's so many things. And that's why we just get overwhelmed and do not live from our core and respond to what our body is asking. That's red serpent.
So as you're just going to comment on that, I'm thinking about the ways in which this plays out in my life. And as you know, and many people watching this know, I'm somewhat obsessed with elimination diets, which are really all about retraining your body how to understand the impact of different foods. Basically simplifying it, cleaning, healing the gut, and then adding things back. So that speaks to that. And that's one of the things I learned through illness, right? Is how to learn to listen to my body again. And sometimes it takes really limiting the field of all those choices to just get clear again on what the input means to me. That's it.
Yeah. What's so cool, Kristin, you just explained your number 5 too. The number 5 is where it's where you just take up the steering wheel and choose for the right or the left. And the yellow seat is about develop yourself and learn for yourself and get more knowledge. So you just said, I learned for myself how it worked. And now, and you step up to the 6, I really like to share it also with my environment, because what I learned, I will just share it with everyone. So that's you said, this is what I learned on the tone 5, and you take responsibility for that, and it's your direction. I feel this is something what I want to share, and it's about the red serpent energy towards you and your environment.
Cool. Well, then before we get to Blue Hand, let's talk about what happens at the very top there. I'm curious about the White World Bridger.
World Bridger. We are now in the path of the White World Bridger. The path of the White World Bridger is what is on the tone number 1. So today, what's happening on the tone 7? It's a very interesting tone because you are in the middle of your journey. Let's call it like that. I as well use the metaphor on your tone number 1. You just took up your backpack and you just went on the roads and you just climbed up on the mountain. This you also can see it as a mountain, and then you are there on the mountain. So you're there on the top. And what's so magnificent when you are there, you can rest, first of all, but you can see back. Rest for when you're sick is also very important, but you can see back, where did I come from? What did I do? What did I do well? What needs to be better? Things like that. So revise, kind of plan, do, check, act moment. Because you're there, you get, you perhaps I'm certainly think you already climbed on several mountains. So when you're there, you just get in silence because it's so beautiful there. So you get inner centered. You say, this is so beautiful. So when you just, it's a place of inner centering. You just see back, you inner center, and say, yeah, this is what life is about. This is what was like that and that. And then the cool stuff is being on a mountain. You just turn yourself on and you see the road in front of you. So this number 7 really gives information of what you need to, the energy that you need to follow your path, to follow your journey. That's so interesting. While Bridger is about letting go. It's really about accepting, not in the universal love way of yellow sun, but really I think letting go is a better explanation. We have a lot of things that we stuck with, we get. Now, the time we are in now, what's happening here in US, for example, all this polarization and this hate. While World Bridger says not accept this what is happening, but don't let it rule your life. Accept it in that kind of way and look for bridges. It's look to find a way, because between what we don't want and what we want, and looking for this bridge. But the bridges are you only can find it when you just are able just to relativate and to step back and just to accept and respect as well. It's not solved by fighting back in a certain way, because you just make more fight of it. So it's really looking for that. The ultimate letting go is dying. The White World Bridger. It's also can be kind of channeling, because on the tone number 7 you're very close, you're high in the sky. It can also channeling between the other worlds, for example. But in daily application, it's really okay. I look, for example, my husband, he's always doing something. Just let it go. Just leave it. It doesn't need because it's not worth of it. That's White World Bridger energy. So it's very, very actual now. And there is the key.
It's interesting, as you're talking about it, Karen, I keep having this image in my head of a movie that I watched when I was a child. It was the cartoon version of The Hobbit, actually. And there's a moment when, you know, there's chaos below, and the dwarves put Bilbo up this tree, and they make him climb this tall, tall tree in the forest, and it's scary, and he's not sure where he's going, and all of a sudden he gets to the top, and he's above the canopy, and there's butterflies and a sunset, and he's like, wow. There's all this craziness down there, but like in this moment, things couldn't be more perfect or beautiful.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what you're getting at with that? Or did I just go off on my own little, Tolkien fantasy?
No, it's perfect. I don't think it's the best image for the white warbreacher. I'm thinking where I can link it better. I would more link it to the yellow sun. Because there you say life is beautiful, and it is what it is. I accept that. It's more on that level. I will give you a personal example for the white warbreacher. For me, it's not on the tone 7, but it's on my tone number 10, where I manifest. So, and in the beginning, you also announced that I am a musician and I'm a choir director. So, the times that when I'm doing the choir, the direction of the choir, when we just make magic, is when I can let go. I just can let go of my core, and I just let happening and kind of channeling in a certain way, and then we make matching. So it's by letting go that I can let go all my, it needs to be there, and there is a crescendo, and there's that. We just make together music, and I hear, and I just give, and the choir is reacting, and there is what the magic is happening. So that's, for example, also an example of white warbreacher.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. All right. It's interesting.
Yeah, very. So we don't have to spend more time talking about this, but this is fascinating, and I'm so grateful that you were willing to dive in here with me, blue monkey style, and take it on, because it's super interesting, and I've never seen anything like it before, and I'm sure many people, this is their first glimpse at it too. Is there anybody who you think wouldn't benefit from thinking about their life or their particular challenge in this way? Is anyone who should, stay away from it?
Yeah. Yes and no. Everyone should hear why you are here on Earth, and how you can use it, all this information. But I have learned too that not everyone is open to hear what needs to be said in a certain way. I don't know people when I have them for a reading, so I really just read what is there, and it can be very into the face sometimes. And you need to be open to see towards yourself, to make the translation. How can I see? Because sometimes people just only are open to see the qualities, and you can see always the quality sides, and that's positive, of course. But then you just go. We have had a good time. We have had 2 hours of reading time, and it was fun in a certain way. But then you don't do anything with it, and then it's a pity. So don't do it when you just go for that. It's or you just you're always welcome. I just love to do readings, but I love more that people really say, I'm going to use this. I want to get better. I want to work on my life. I want to develop myself. And then I'm in. And then you have me 200, 300, 400%. I always exaggerate. So because I think it's so fantastic when you just have this kind of tools and learn to use it, and any information I can give you to help, then it's I would love to give.
Thank you. I can really feel your heart in that offer. Anything else I should know that we haven't talked about with this chart? Any last minute warnings or opportunities I should be aware of based on where things are in this chart with me?
See, yeah. Yes, perhaps, and that's a good one for you. It's something that you have to. It's your 13. It's your coming home, and the energy of coming home is really. In fact, it's for the coming home of this life. So as we know, the Mayans, there is no ending, no beginning, no ending. So, but in this life, you really, it's the intention that you come closer to there. You're sitting in the couch. I don't think you drink wine, but you have leisure time. You have fun. You're just relax. That's the 13. For you, it's yellow human, and yellow human is you can. It's very closely related to the law of attraction. So it's about manifesting. But the absolute aspects of what you, on the 13, let's call it like there, is focus. Put your attention on something. And where you put your attention on, you can manifest and you can make it happen. But you have to make a choice. So that's why I must laugh a little bit, because how I know you're everywhere. And I know in your work you're very focused. So there you are already probably closer towards your 13. But this focus is very important. There are also many other aspects of yellow human, but when you asked it, I said, yeah.
Well, that's very helpful advice. It's advice that's been reflected back to me from so many different people, and it's nice to see it here as well.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Karen. This is
all your life to learn that, huh?
Yeah. Right. That's the good news. I have all my life to learn it. I can keep staying scattered when I need to.
Yeah.
So, anything else before we end that you want to say from your heart to this particular community of people who are looking for wholeness and looking for healing?
Yes, I think so. First of all, some of the things we have touched here because it was in your sun seal. But when you are sick, first of all, accepting that you are sick can be a very important one, just to start the healing process. It's also important to or know the general what I so like about Tzolkin is a kind of softness and forgiveness for everything. So we tend to be much too hard for ourselves. We want to do everything. We want to be healthy. We want to have prosperity. We don't want to be sick. We want that. We want so much. And just accepting who we are in our essence, with that there are qualities, but there are also development sides. And we don't like that development part, but it's who we are. We are human. And the connection of all this kind that we have that we have connection with other people, I think that's so beautiful, and it helps you to soften too. And the other aspect is what I just said with your tone 13, because it's a kind of cyclical time. When you, for example, you said, it's important for me to get better that I follow a very strict diet, something like that, very practical. And you just tend to go off the road sometimes. It's in that way, it's not good. But when you just see it more universal and more on a lifetime, on the Mayans, they just said, okay, it doesn't matter where at that time you made that choice, but tomorrow the time comes back and you just have again the time to decide otherwise. So you can try over and over and over again. And that's so beautiful. That makes us much more human and soft, and accept and love ourselves more.
That's a beautiful place to finish. Thank you so much. This has been really precious. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you. Absolutely. From the heart. Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Healing Grove podcast. If you liked it, please be sure to like and subscribe. And if you want to deepen your experience further, consider grabbing a copy of the Healing Grove Playbook.
With journal prompts for this podcast and 41 others, it's the perfect place to record your learnings, keep track of the tools you explore, and reflect on your own experience. Finally, it's important to mention that even though I am a doctor, nothing you hear on this podcast, whether from myself or my guests, constitutes medical advice. Any intervention you try should always be discussed with and supervised by a trusted member of your own healing team. Thanks for listening, and see you next time in the Healing Grove.